Hi, my name is David Brager. I'm in Richland, Washington. This is for all of the royals and all of the esteemed who are titled in the world. Anointed One and Messiah are titles. The only way to get a second coming of two titles demanded a lot of work to be done. It was all laid out. From the end of the age today, backwards to Sermon on the Mount, as those events that happened last, so the first you see as you go backwards in space-time, hence those are last be first, is a time map with a whole bunch of work that was laid out. I was born XXY with Klinefelter syndrome. They saw a trinity off in the future and dumped a ton of work on me. It's all done. Jesus and Christ are titles. The only way to get a second coming requires the Greek Senate to defecate in their dungarees and scream, Jesus Christ, so a whole world of Jewish computer geeks will drop the Torah. Someone caught a virus and wrote the Torah. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob had empty hands. You're a child of God. God didn't want wicked children, so I must introduce you to the Holy Ghost. The author of the Torah is playfully mean, but love your enemy. How? Well, with 2 commandments and 8 rules, the enemy is only in your imagination. So everybody on the planet has one common enemy, the author of the Torah, and anyone who thinks like writing more, because you're going to scream, Marines, 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 and your Marines who never knew that they carried these tools, and they're trying to protect you and give you their love and giving you their devotion, and they didn't know and you didn't know. I'm doing this because Queen Elizabeth, her dad, it's when you get right down to it, when you're dealing with children, at one point in time, Queen Elizabeth's dad invested in Poppy Bush's opium. And I'm here to show that these people know these tools are here. They're using them as weaponry. They're playing the world using Armageddon as written. We build computer games these days. We've got their source code. In the computer game of Armageddon being engineered around your lives, right now, 480 years of always faithful Marines are my flock. I rose to be a good shepherd. Mom's dad, Isadora Lurie, turned up in the book Finding Her Father is a guidebook to Jewish genealogy. My bar mitzvah instructor, Meyer Elkins, other than Dr. Alan Padette, who's a rabbi at Buffalo, New York. Meyer said this thing to me, and Meyer talked like he had shredded wheat for life. David, that's how I talk. If you ever have an encounter with a warm light and a small voice, then you're a prophet. I distinctly remember, God, I hope that never happens to me. Find tinyurl.com/GSTQ, that's for God Save the Queen, 2017, 2017. A year ago, I recorded this thing. In the middle of the video, between 2:05 and 2:08 in the video, one of those orbs, just golden, brilliant, fly through. Now, up in Manchester, they got all of these crop circles. And people saying, oh, look, they're, we are intelligent idiots. We've been looking at space-time wrong because we're using days. There's only the now. Please look at your hands and label from left index to right with these terminologies for values so that it doesn't matter what language you speak outside in the matrix. Inside, we have one common language. 2 commandments and 8 rules, and love your enemy, keep it in your own mind. If anybody endangers your game, scream out, Marines, 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 and they will wake up, judge where they stand, and kill. No prisons, no taxes. Both concepts came from the Torah. Born again looks to be a reboot sequence of the body. What is, if go forth and multiply is chaos, spending eternity with your friends would be heaven. Fishes and loaves and raising the dead would require matter-rearranging technology. They couldn't risk the good stuff to fall into bad hands. All the tools are in plain sight. Please go to tinyurl.com/upgradingpatriotism and read the game to this point. These people are using subterraneans with explosives. The Japanese banking system gave control to a bunch of American businesses because they used fracking or something else to use a seismological effect to create that earthquake on March 11th, 0311, March of 2011, because they're trying to disband the Marine Corps, because the Marine Corps are carrying these tools. And if they were able to play their gambit before the Marine Corps learned about it, then they would say, well, look, the Marine Corps knew this stuff was here all this time, and they didn't tell anybody, and they could have disbanded the Marine Corps. But they hadn't considered the trap the day that Judaism returns to empty hands. So at Brewaha, Los Angeles, if you go to url.com/infectadmin, you'll see that I rose to Aquarius' last prophet for Judaism, and as of that day, the paper of King David no longer was using the Torah. We're using 2 commandments and 8 rules. So anyone using the Torah as weaponry to use the Patriot Act to create expanding, expensive, defective government, to expand the enslavement of the people who carry the government, they're now alone using the alien life form weaponry because they're infected by something so dangerous the Marine Corps are going to kill them. The zombies are here. These people exude to torture and dishonor and scapegoat and lie, but more often they don't want to get blood in their hands. No, they're in a position of giving bad advice. Billy Bush is standing right next to Donald Trump, just like Prescott Bush is standing right next to Adolf Hitler. Hitler had good friends. Prescott Bush was his bully. He was never his best friend. Look at this. Gandhi, Walt Disney, Henry Ford. How would you like to wake up in the morning and have those for friends? Nobody saw Prescott Bush wormed his way into the history book as his best friend. They secured loans in Germany, and then while standing right next to Hitler, they pulled the loans, and Prescott Bush watched Hitler drop into a subconscious state. He's an expert at hypnosis, which he didn't tell anybody. They made cannabis illegal the same day they made their opium illegal. Someone at DEA fought to get cannabis labeled a hypnotic because it matters. You can skip the entire, I'm going to count from 10 to 1, yada, 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 crap, and one puff and drop into the subconscious state. Now, I merged basic computer language with hypnosis to ascertain what the hell hypnosis was and discovered a network between heads. Einstein's special theory of relativity turned up in literature. Einstein again. Take a piece of paper, draw a line across the front. And to your left, write the past. And to your right, write the future. And flip it over and draw another line across the front and draw a dot. Your mind in 6th dimension controls your mouth and your avatar in this dimension. And your mind in 6 dimensions can see all of time from that corridor. They're back. So as it deals with, sorry, I was interrupted. I have ADD and suddenly my mind is on. So draw a line across the front and the past, future, flip it, draw a dot. Okay. Every writer in history, Shakespeare, everybody, lay all their stories, with the exception of Memento, JCVD, Split Second by Sir Anthony Hopkins, and that Seinfeld episode went back. All right, thank you. And excellent. I gave a copy to my let's see, my granddaughter and her sister. Anyways, granddaughter, step in. We're dealing with. You have the line across here. You see something in 3 movies. It looks like something looking at you in the news right now. Figure out who can rebuild the barrier between fantasy logic and reality logic and send them to tinyurl.com/upgradingpatriotism and read. You'll find how to find a 42-point puzzle in the Gospel of Matthew, the tools it unlocks, how to use them, my hack of U.S. history, and my counter move. President's just a role-playing game, but prophet's more powerful. And I just did it for the peace because Muhammad is going to blow Judaism's mind. Remember, he was born Jewish. Why do you upgrade from stoning to crucifixion? To outrun a problem. Why do you change languages and have something like Mecca? Because the Torah is not from God. The hand tool with this across your face is the Holy Grail. And I faxed this to General Peter Gilchrist at the British intelligence in Washington, D.C. I'm going to make history, so all the comedians are going to say, you did what? I'm doing this so that I can prove that there's a different way of running for president and doing it legally and running for international appreciation without money and just do the work that needs to be done. On the back of the U.S. $1 bill are all the tools to teach you, because the Founding Fathers knew eventually Judaism was going to grow a brain and realize that the Torah was never the right answer. If you take a piece of paper, now that you've got one that has lines on it, scratch a whole bunch of noise on just garbage on one side, stand it perpendicular between your legs, between your feet, and realize that's the Torah. I'm teaching you from the design of the Torah, not from the content of the Torah. So, There's a plane beneath your feet on which you're standing on. There's a plane that you have perpendicular with the 2 commands and 8 rules. You're intersecting this. You're sitting at the crux of 3 different planes. In merging basic computer language with hypnosis and doing volunteer work as an experimental hypnotist, I mapped the multiplex. We live in points, lines, planes, space, time, matter, belief systems, feelings, and communications in a field of matter, which is beneath your feet and all around your avatar, in a field of ideas, which is behind your eyes, and a field of consciousness, which is between your hemispheres. Notice that your left hand is processed by your right hemisphere and vice versa. That's why all the writing on this Torah between your legs is on the left side and there's nothing written on the right side. This intellect that wrote the Torah set a trap for itself. If you see somebody acting like it and exudes to torture and dishonor and scapegoat mind, that's why all the writing's on this one side, because with your hand, you judge all 4 across here, and all you see is, let me see if I can set this up between my legs like that. If you have 2 commands and 8 rules, God, do I have permission to make this next decision? Well, you ever lie, scapegoat, dishonor, torture, steal, overwork, adultery, to kill. Notice if your fingers go up, your thumbs go down to cover what you're having. If you have 2 thumbs up, you can completely see that nothing will ever stand in your way. You are approved by God and by everybody around you because they will leave you the fuck alone. I went to FBI, U.S. Secret Service, the Black Panthers on their website, to Hamas PLO, to Mossad, to Benji Begin in Israel, to everybody I could think of, on all sides. The double cross. I sent this stuff to the German press and begged them to give it to Chancellor Merkel because everything that happened to Hitler came from a weapon pulled from the design of the Torah. We didn't have any idea we were carrying. But in 1833, something happened in history that had never happened before. From 3,000 years ago to 1833, as the Torah rolled and unrolled using a lunar calendar over a solar world, eddies of chaos randomly spun away from us based on our position in space-time. If you take 3,000 maps of the world and put a pinprick at the location where the Torah was, watch eddies of chaos randomly spin away as civilizations collapsed in our wake. Gaijin was once our gentility. Go forth and multiply is global overpopulation. Kingdoms and coinage and customs and cubits are mired in the logic of matter. Build your treasures in heaven! Why? Well, because knowledge is a treasure and ideas travel faster when they're not attached to matter. Blessed are the peacemakers. Why? Because now with the internet, war is a lot of work. You don't run the war. So, in the computer game of Armageddon is written, whenever the wolves in sheep's clothing, like John Kerry, George Bush, Dick Cheney, Bill Gates, out of the box Windows 7 and 8 defaulted to time.windows.com, and NAST was pissed because they didn't tell anybody. They told everybody they were stopping support, but they didn't tell anybody that they had changed the time servers. Now, Windows 10 came out with time.nxt.gov. In the last 6 months, I need everybody on the planet, I need all the royals, I need everybody that's in any part of the military. Check your computers. The time servers are now checked to time.windows.com. This is higher than high treason. Bill Gates was said, he who controls the internet controls the world. With this ploy he does. You must kill him immediately. He has breached the barrier between his worst imagination and my reality, and he's endangered my Marines. And my Marines are going to kill anybody that endangers Marines. Marines are the healthiest physically, and nobody told them that these tools are here. They are about to evolve. Search YouTube for unidentified flying humans, and then search for Chris Angel and David, Dynamo Magician Impossible doing levitation. The matrix is order-based. This material dimension is chaos-based. 2 commands and 8 rules is a firewall. We're in high-tech going into chaos. I need 144,000 white hat hackers to grow a brain and pick up my shit. Go to tinyurl.com/whitehat, the number 1, white hat 2, the letter A, white hat 3, white hat 4, white hat 5, white hat 6, white hat 8. White Hat 7 had been my book for sale at Cafe Press, which, according to Cafe Press, I sold 2 copies. One went to a son of a bitch named Philip Matthews, who right after he bought it, he copied all my shit on my website, opened a new website, and started selling my stuff. I'm poor on Social Security disability, and come I decide, fuck you, I'm going to do this better than that so I can humble you before my Marine Corps, who may or may not kick the shit out of you. I don't know. You didn't ever help me. You bought my book. Everything you did by copying my stuff, I put my shit out there by rising to Aquarius, Last Prophet for Judaism. My stuff is public domain. I'm a much better person than you are. How dare you dishonor my family, the family of David? Abraham, Elijah, Muhammad, and Aquarius stand here to be judged by the United States Marine Corps versus George, Billy, and Prescott. Or in this case, John Kerry, who's a member of Skull and Bones as well. In 1833, U.S. President Andrew Jackson closed the second U.S. bank. I don't want these wicked people in my government, something like that. That's an executive decision far before Executive Decision 51. Executive decision from Andrew Jackson negates Executive Decision 51 because these sons of bitches couldn't take oath of office. They trotted over to Yale, opened Skull and Bones, and instantly United States history was attacked by a weapon you will only find in 1833 as you analyze how empty hands are enslaved by a Torah. JFK, just before he was shot to death in Dallas, said he found a plot to enslave the whole USA. When you play Internet tools to history, the White House putsch never stopped. The Bush and the Hines family were busted last time. Debbie Hines is John Kerry's wife. We have a coup in progress. You must kill these sons of a bitches and make an example out of them. And luckily, you've seen the stuff in the movies already. In Ghostbusters, the Statue of Liberty trots over downtown and breaks up that goo that's going. Well, that ooze is what the Torah's logic did to Judaism. All King David wanted was goodness and mercy. Do you see that happening? No. So I decided to do something that would earn goodness and mercy to follow us all of our days, so I can rise to David, King of the Jews, and then put this gambit to bed. It's just a game. Torah is computer game design. It's just world of Marines. The streets of heaven are patrolled by Marines. 2 commandments, 8 rules of Marines, and nothing is written. This delivers liberty and justice and Marines. I'm hoping to earn knighthood in the United Kingdom because I'd like Sir Patrick Stewart to learn something that's going to blow his mind. He should go and read tinyurl.com/infectadmin. I cited him there. I contacted the Louvre and said, is a domino chain set up using communications not matter to reharmonize the whole world and explode a myth while exposing those who hide behind mountains' rules to justify wickedness be construed as art? I submitted the word scripnosis to l'Académie Française. I have not heard anything that this word has become part and parcel with the official French yet, but at least I'm standing in queue. But this is the thing that is the pinnacle point between the French and the English. The poorest English writer could take any gobbledygook and turn it into a tintinnabulation and had the freedom to do it. And that simplest freedom between the writers in France and the writers in English was so great that that's the biggest tension between the two countries. It's a very, very simple thing, but you're both children in heaven. And Judaism made a mistake. The Torah is being used wrong. You pick it up, you read through it, you go, God, this is crap, and you throw it down on the ground. It paints a mirror image in your mind. No books, no burdens, no leadership, no tithing, no Torah, no slavery. Increases intellect, decreases chaos, leaves peace in your way, protects your children, is simple, and is fun. The Torah was never any fun. We were doing hypnosis, Dungeons and Dragons. People are screaming, I can't believe this is happening. As long as reality is safe, it turns off the graphics of the mind. These people are trying to tear a hole in the barrier between fantasy and reality. I do want to thank all the people at ITV for the Vrillin transmission, whether somebody invented it or not. The data there was effective. The role of Aquarius has been sitting there waiting for some computer geek to find it and say, God, I'm pissed at the world. These people are causing my kids to be in danger. They're using game design. I know how to build games. Fuck them. So I'm going to build this so every computer geek on the planet is going to wake up the Marine Corps, because this is revenge of the nerds. These people are beating up our kids and our nations, and our Marines never saw it because these people made cannabis illegal the same day they made their opium illegal, and then created the FBI with the rule no agents use cannabis, and then created the Manchurian Candidate project, but they ran on the United States Marine Corps to frighten the public so no one learned hypnosis, and then created the Department of Education, said hypnosis of PhD levels of study in psychology when it's actually a communications field, and then ran Stargate in the 80s to make remote viewing look new. I called Dale Graff, CIA's lead at Project Stargate, on the 23rd of April 2010 and asked him my one burning question. Did you know that there are remote viewing tools in the Gospels? And he said no. This man protected the entire Marine Corps, and he had no idea that from the end of the age, the Sermon on the Mount is a time map of those events that happened last are the first you see as you go backwards in space-time, hence those will last be first. It's a second layer to everything. The family of David have arrived to unite as a family. We have one common enemy, the author of the Torah, and anyone thinks like writing more. That's why I've written from right to left, and that's why the Quran is written from right to left, because Muhammad is not going to teach everyone. That's why you could never translate the Quran. Why? It's not a religion. It's a modern, and we're talking 2018 year since BCE. Look at this. It was written 1,275 years or so, 1,200 years ago, using data from 2,000 years ago, triangulating the data to show how accurate this stuff is. Using Mecca, he created a vortex in space-time. He washed the souls, the divisional logistics of some other species, like a toilet does now, and washes away the ugliness. And people watch the movie Malcolm X. Denzel Washington's performance is spot on. He came divided, and Muhammad washed his soul, and Malcolm X went out a child of God, cleansed the divisional logistics of some other species. And he did this to save the honor of King David, who adulterated Bathsheba. A scapegoat of the husband who died. The Star of David, or David's sins. And we named David are fucked as long as the Torah is in effect. So I rose to Aquarius and turned it off, so anyone using the Torah for the last 10 years are fucked. Every Marine on the planet, you are my flock. I beg you, I implore you, I plead with you. In the United States, we do not have kings as leaders. I beg you to wake up the United States Marine Corps. I have absolutely no power in this. I get no credit in this. Jesus and Christ are titles. The Greeks have had 10 years. They had 20 years last time. It took 20 years to get the message to Jerusalem, but they didn't believe it at first. Either title was a stay of execution. They could have saved his life if they had a fax machine or email like today, because of the sanctuary relationship between Greece and Rome. And I'm doing this because the Pope is German, and Germany was double-crossed, and I love my Volkswagen people. And when I learned the truth, I did something about it so that Germany comes out of this smelling like a rose and not like another century back. You're in a gaming world going into chaos. You've got some great programmers. I hope Gunther Hoch is still there. He was with Commodore in 1982 and 1983. We were both programming for the Commodore 64. I'm hoping that if you find him alive, he was living in Ogden, Utah in the 80s. So where he is now, at least it'll give you a triangulation point of space-time. But he was one of the nicest guys and very, very funny. I'm the very last story in the first Darwin Awards book. I'm doing this to raise the quality of humor so that the comedians can start telling funny jokes that aren't hurting people and not hurting themselves and making them mentally healthy. Good logic is infectious. And anything you can do to infect logic as a royal is worth doing. We don't do the royalty thing, but I, being a prince, had a responsibility, and so I did this with grace, tenacity, tact, and timing. If you want to check out my stuff to see if I actually have a humorous bone in my body, I have a WGA registered film script at tinyurl.com/3, 4, and 3 for drinks. And I was accepted to the Dramatists Guild of America because improv guru David Shepard at the Northampton, Massachusetts Valley Cabaret was using my parodies. So go to tinyurl.com/parodies by DIB, David Ian Brager. I'm very lucky that my parents were kind enough to not name me Yitzchak David, which is my Jewish name, because the puzzle in the Gospel of Matthew has 42 points. 14 generation, 14 generation, 14 generation. Read the round. Mark 1, Luke 1, John 1, in the round. Close your eyes. Use cannabis. See through time. Queen Victoria had Queen Victoria strain, if you can get it. It's really, really good stuff. And you exist in all these different dimensions of logic, and so you break out logic based on the dimensions you are using. Your body skips 3-dimensional and 5-dimensional logic when processing music. That's why ideas travel faster when they're not attached to matter. Build your treasures in heaven. This is an Einstein hanging across a saw that he needs to get to an intelligent audience of royals in the future. He cares about you because you're doing the stuff you don't want to do, but nobody else wants to do. Nobody wants to be a royal in this free world, but we have a responsibility because we picked up this game and did everything we could to make it work so everybody didn't try to kill us. We didn't realize that there's much more to the responsibilities of the kingdom of heaven. On earth as it is in heaven. Welcome to heaven. Something went wrong. So I'm doing this at home. I could use all the help I can get. I'm on Social Security disability income, but the money don't send me money. It would be better for you to see an opportunity and get involved and do the work yourself any way you can. The money will never get there fast enough. Honor pays the biggest bills. Money is just a form of exchange. My name is David Iyenbrager. My moniker is The Hypnose. I do hypnosis adventure gaming. If you go to tinyurl.com/thefuturestoolkit, you'll find an online copy of my book. If they try to charge you, go to tinyurl.com/archive, the number 4, TFT. And you'll find, I think UU Cities is the last archive that's still online. Send them money. They've earned it. Rio Cities and UU Cities supported me the longest. UU Cities are still in business. I haven't sent them $1. The whole thing was to show that the money was slowing the intellect. The money was enslaving the world. The money came from the Torah. We should have left it on the ground and run away. The money is killing us. We have made a tragic mistake. We have to find a different way of doing things. With 2 commands and 8 rules, I'm doing this as fast as possible. I make a good idea, find a person who can use the idea, and send it to them. I don't worry about what happens. Our species is dying out because we've attacked ourselves using the logic of some other species because Judaism was stupid. So I rose as being born XXY with Klinefelter syndrome. We're typically 60 to 80 IQ. The remote view for me is Charlie, which is from the book Flowers for Algernon. Everybody thinks I'm so smart. No, I'm stupid, but the tools increased my way of looking at reality. And now the intelligent people, their intellects are going to go into the stratosphere, and once again I'm going to be stupid by their standards, which is fine. But Ayn Rand was betrayed by the author of the Torah. She didn't know. She didn't know that she'd been betrayed, and I wanted to prove that Ayn Rand was wrong, not because it was her fault. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. But for those who know what they do, there is no forgiveness, because they endanger the lives of so much as a single Marine. Monsanto took over the whole corn market in the United States. We used to sell corn that was healthy. They tinked out one gene and then patented a cure for the health problem it causes. This is beyond high treason. These people are using money as tentacles. And you've seen the remote view at the end of the Return of the Jedi. I'm Luke. I'm using the the Excalibur. That's another great remote view. The cross coming out of the 10 Commandments. The 10 Commandments is not anything but fantasy, and the cross is doing battle with the 10 Commandments, and that's what Excalibur is, pulling the cross out of the stone, and rising, doing battle with the author of the Torah in heaven. It's a gaming world. And I'm doing this so that everybody wins except those who endanger Marines, and the Marine Corps are going to decide who they're not going to protect. But if any earthquakes happen or any floods happen or any size, please, it's not God. These people are playing with weaponry that they don't care what happens. They're using underground bunkers to stay alive. They've gone to people like Be Safe Security and other places to build underground luxury bunkers. They think that they're going to win the game of Armageddon as written. Marines, you've got to judge what values you're not going to protect. The good guys, like Elon Musk and Sir... my mind just went blank. Anyway, the owner of Virgin, who's a programmer, and my mind said, Brandis? I'm making history and I'm fucking him up, but he got me kicked off Facebook, so, fuck you. I tried to friend him, and he contacted Facebook, said he's not a friend, and I got kicked off Facebook. So, hey, this is my fuck you to you. But it's just a computer game, and I sent all this stuff to your head guy in Ireland and said, you need to deliver the Rapture and break these tools out so we can build games using radio, so we can reboot radio, because you're already in radio. You're this music geek, right? Tubular Bells and all that shit, right? Well, with Tubular Bells, if you attach a specific flavor or feeling to each of the bells, you pre-program your audience to what they're experiencing. You, as an artist, have a new field here. And it's all free. Go to tinyurl.com/ what else can I send you to? You'll just find my stuff. I contacted you about Hypnosis Gaming 25 some odd years ago. And I'm here to deliver the Rapture and fuck you out of the greatest day in history because you wouldn't help me. I'm sorry. I would have been on your team. We would have taken the game, but you told me to fuck you at Facebook, and payback's a bitch. I'm open for business now that this is delivered. I hope that people will take me seriously. I did this for honor. Thank you. Bye-bye.